I'm going to continue reading. I am making an audio tape of this. If anybody is interested and there's some way, shape, or form I can email that to you, just ask for it. Otherwise, what might be a cool idea is download some of these videos and put it on your iPod and maybe listen to it that way. It may be hard to watch somebody read. Is my only suggestion, is maybe listen to it with headphones, and I don't know. But anyways, continue reading. While the theories of science have many practical applications, they take on a different hue once energy and matter are considered holographically as information in motion. In a universe made of information in motion, everything is conscious and everything is connected. It is so hyperspatial and woven into parallel worlds in hierarchies of information networks. So consciousness is causal in all transformation. Kind of in the quantum world, in the smallest, when they can see that inside everything is actually hollow, there's just spinning pieces of information. Kind of look at your universal world and see how things appear to be spinning as well. They're both identical, the quantum world and the universal world. Everything in outer space, everything you see in our galaxy is nothing more than spinning pieces of information. But it's the bigness of information. It's like the rocks. It's everything that's big that carries information of what it is. And while everything in the smallest, you can't see that information because it's so friggin' small, but it is just strings of information. The next part, molecule construction. In the traditional particleized sense, environmental influences create biology responses that initiate responses in biochemistry. These influences create molecule construction of memory, eventually networks, among the neural and other biological systems to become conscious. However, in a holodynamic model, reality is very different than was viewed by Euclidean, I'll spell it, Euclidean, research that out, geometry, or the classical Cartesian Newtonian physics. David Bohm, I may be pronouncing his name, B-O-H-M, described non-classical organizations of energy potentials as implicit, as emerging form an implicit order. It could be implicit or implicit. I've been told I say it wrong. David Gabor, G-A-B-O-R, the inventor of the hologram, based his discovery of Gaborian transforms on the fact that one can store on a holographic film interference patterns of waveforms produced by the reflection of light from an object. Then the reflected light is superimposed upon the reference wave. Gabor used integral calculus taken from Gottfried Leibniz, Leibniz. Why don't people have like normal names? And his vision of an implicit order. In Leibniz's view, a windowless form was given to specific holographic forms that were representation of the whole. He called these forms monads, M-O-N-A-D-S, which are the same as Gabor's holograms. Carl Pribram, P-R-I-B-R-A-M, used Fourier transforms and Gabor's holograms to create his masterful description of brain memory storage. Bram, B-R-I-B-R-A-M, 1996, page 13. Other researchers confirm the work of Brybram, C. Fergus Campbell, and John Robson, for example, who found unexpected regularities in the spectrum domain that results when a Fourier transform is performed on a space-time form. Gratings of different widths and spacings adapted not only to the particle graded shown, but also at other data points. These additional adaptations can be understood when we describe the gratings as composed of regular waveforms with a given frequency and the regularities in terms of harmonics. The spectrum frequencies are determined by the grating spacing. Thus, wave frequencies can be used to describe patterns in physical reality. Carl Brybram, I can't pronounce his name, writes, this is a quote, what this means is that the optical image is decomposed into its Fourier components, regular waveforms of different frequencies and amplitudes. Cells in the visual system respond to one another of these components and thus in aggregated comprise an image processing filter or resonator that has characteristics similar to the photographic filter comprised of holograms, from which images can be constructed by implementing the inverse transform. Some of these words. I was in contact with holographic equipment, and the explanation of how it works, they really had to understand how the eye perceives what it sees in order to create a holographic image. So very much so what an equipment can do to create a holographic image is exactly what the eye and the brain does when you see everything. That's why everything you see is not really real. It's just how you perceive it with the technology of the body. It's really odd. The conclusion may be drawn that molecule construction is orchestrated by quantum coherence using some form of Gaborian transforms. What this means is that the biochemistry works according to the laws of classical biology and physics, and it is controlled by holodynes within the microtubulars that emanate a quantum coherence frequency that forms each molecule and orchestrates each molecular construction via Gabor transforms. See number 12 below. It is reasonable to conclude that biochemistry works by intelligent choice and can be detected by both classical and quantum physics experiments. The implications of these findings in the treatment of problems, such as illness, are self-evident. That's why there are a lot of new technologies that are using frequency to heal. Love has a frequency. Hate has a frequency. It is just like a song that has a frequency, and when you have hate and negative inside you, it does cause disease. When you have love, you actually know what love feels like, and you feel it day in and day out, you're less likely to be sick. Hate is stress, and most illnesses are stress. Love is peace and calm and tends to be a lot healthier. So these frequencies, knowing how to feel these frequencies, create these frequencies, is good for your health. Number 12, cellular construction. Within the visual nervous system, sensory input is channeled to particular cortical cells that facilitate a patch or a multiple construction of transforms. Such multiple constructions were devised by Bracewell at Stanford University and were engineered in radio astronomy labs by stripping together the holographic transformations of limited sectors of the heavens as viewed by a radio telescope. When the inverse transform is applied, a space-time image of the whole composite can be viewed in 3 dimensions. Transforms that best describe the visual nervous system respond to visual input by design at Gaber's work and are called Gaber transforms. Gaber, Preram, and Carlton, Dugman, Marcelja, Marcelja. I wish some of these people would get better names. A Gaber transform is formed by placing a Gaussian, Gaussian envelope on an otherwise unlimited Fourier transform. This is one explanation of what gives mathematical precision to the limits involved and prepares the information to be accepted by the dimmer switches on the tubulin wall of the microtubes. In addition, the arrangement of the visual channels is organized spatially for giving form to potential energy. Thus the gross grain of the visual filter determines space-time coordinates, whereas the fine-grain filters describe the Gabor transforms. This dual perception of gross-grained and fine-grained filters, technically called the synaptodendritic receptive field organization, applies to other senses as well. George von Beckelsie found auditory and some aesthetic modalities. Walter Freeman found these same filters in olfactory systems. Prebram, Safarfat, and a bunch of names found similar cells in the sensory monitor cortex that are tuned to movement. God, this is a struggle saying some of these names. It appears, as the evidence comes in, that sensory systems are sparsely organized on the receptor surfaces as topographic filters to receive both particle and wave information and are instrumental in preparing for holographic processing of information. Thus, cellular construction is both particle and wave at the same time. Thus, we can see that cells are holodynamic in nature. That's the conclusion of all that complicated words. Organic functions. The aggregated combination of the dualism of particle-wave dynamics are found in each cell, nested in a large dynamic that Prebram classifies as an isomonic structural monism, or a unified information structure that encompasses whole organic dynamics. Breathing, for example, is accomplished by a subconscious underlying order that orchestrates the organization of the information according to intelligence emerging patterns. This is what I refer to as the holodynamic dimensions that emanates from parallel worlds, organized via the full potential self, forms into a quantum potential field, and then it's transformed into holographic forms, or holodynes, within the microtubulars. Holodynes form, giving lungs a mind of their own. Thus, lung mind is a self-organized information network that keeps the lungs working and is aligned with an even larger system, a mind, found in the combination of the organs of the body. The entire organ system forms the body-mind as one mathematical system within another. Such systems are found in Brown's description of the basic laws of form and have the power to cause within the field of consciousness of any human being. This is really relevant because it's almost like you're going to focus on what the mind does, and we're not really seeing that the heart has a mind, that your lungs have a mind, that your liver has a mind. Every aspect every separate organ is like a body in itself with a mind of itself, and they all have to be integrated to be able to make some changes.